Derelict Watcher.
Welcome to Derelict Watcher. In the bottom left corner of the map, we have the player, the Red Protoss from Root Gaming, currently down at 0-1. It is Sage. Clap, 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 clap. And in the top right, we have MacSed from Team Invictus Gaming, currently up 1-0. How will MacSed fare off? Well, it looks pretty good so far, if you ask me, Andre. Golf claps, yay. There actually are people with thunder sticks, just that they don't have a mic. So sometimes you hear them and sometimes you don't.
Yeah. We can hear them from between the walls. You know, as I was saying, Derelict Watcher definitely plays out similarly to Belshir Vestige. The one thing that you can take away from this relative to Belshir Vestige is the amount of I guess, entrances into the natural and the third bases. You can see it's only a single direction. On Belshir Vestige, there's like 3 different places you have to defend against. But now you can put your army in a really, really nice spot in between the natural and the third base, and all of a sudden you're defending 3 expansions. That's a lot easier to defend. That means a lot of times you have much campier strategies just because defensively it's so much better. You don't have nearly as many aggressive options.
Although I do have to say, compared to other maps, I think Blink is still pretty good, considering you do have a lot of room around the main base to kind of play with. So you can still be a little aggressive. So I would expect another Blink opening from MacSed, or sorry, another Twilight opening from MacSed, because he has shown Blink in the past. And again, Sage, it's a little bit different because now he can't lose anymore. He has to play a little bit more safe, in my opinion. But at the same time, he has to be very cautious because now he's really aware of how MacSed likes to open with these double Colossi or double Robo, and go for a lot of Colossus and sometimes just push with only Colossus.
Yeah, and what do you really think about that? Like, if I'm Sage in this position,
if he went Stargate, then he'd be in a really nice position. Like that push wouldn't work if you had Void Rays, right? But then
Void Rays or even Phoenix. Mass Phoenix. I know that sounds crazy.
It's a little tough to pull that off.
I know that sounds crazy, but think about how much gas you put into double Robo Colossus. If you're on 2 bases, you only get 480 gas per minute. If you're constantly chrono boosting out Colossus out of those 2 Robos, that's like 400 gas that you're spending per minute. So you
assuming you're macroing perfectly.
Assuming you're macroing perfectly, but still, that's 80 gas. Let's say 80 to 150 gas that you get to work with a minute. That's 3 Stalkers a minute.
Ooh.
You need a lot of time to actually deal with Mass Phoenixes. I feel like that's not a bad response.
I think you're right, Andre. And Stargate opening has been very versatile, and people still like using it. But I think with how popular Warp Prism Harass has gotten because of the recent buff to the base speed of it, people tend to favor getting some kind of robotics in the mid-game, and as a result stem their production from their Stargate. Now MacSed's going to throw in this proxy Stargate. We've seen quick Oracles really mess up players, and now Sage has opted once again for a fast expansion. What do you think about this position? He's going for a quick Robo in response.
It's really, really tough to deal with this. I mean, this is what we're talking about too. Sage drops back to this conventional style he loves to do, that macro game, but he's capable of doing other builds. Doing the same build in a row, he might get punished here.
Well, he went 1 gate this time instead of 2 gates, so he did it even less safe than he did in the previous game. It's almost kind of like an innovation response. If I lose, I'm just going to go even more greedy. And now Sage, he is going to lose his Sentry immediately, and that's just one form of anti-air that's going to be a little bit harder for him to fight. If MacSed is going to start making stuff at his Stargate, he still hasn't used it yet. And there is the Oracle finally beginning. And MacSed, we were talking about how he just loves attacking nonstop. I love this 2-pronged form of aggression and constantly keeping Sage's attention. And he also even baited out the Photon Overcharge on the natural expansion.
What that says is he has to get units out ASAP to deal with the front. But while he's thinking about all of this, he hasn't scouted his opponent yet. So he's thinking, oh, this is probably going to be an expansion directly behind this. I can see you're at 3 gateways-ish. Normally people go for some sort of expansion directly behind this. But look at this, the Oracle coming in, and Sage is reacting so slow to it. Stalkers are not back there. He just used a warp into probes. Will have to retreat all the way to the natural base. That might actually give a big timing for MacSed to hit in the natural.
He is. He's going to try to see if he can dart away with these Oracles. Meanwhile, the Mothership Core
Ooh.
and the Zealot Immortals will try to see if they can pick off units. They do manage to pick off one Stalker. MacSed does save the majority of his units. He is giving some time, though, to Sage. In the end, this is pretty all-in. Actually, this is super all-in for MacSed.
Yeah.
He is not in motion for expansion at all. He has a Void Ray. He has a second one coming in.
Oh, and
so
he's
he's
going for
committed
it.
to this.
He's going for it. There might be another planetary nexus
Nope.
up. No, not for a very long
67
time.
energy, Creator. He needs to make this happen. A little bit of disorganization with his units. He's going to drop a Time Warp on this Immortal. Does not want to escape. The Void Ray trying to deal with all forms of the anti-air, working on the Sentry of all units. And MacSed with a lot of DPS. Oracle also went back into the main base and cleaned up a lot of units. MacSed has a decisive supply advantage, and Sage,
man.
he might have been the favorite, but I fear that he's going to drop 0-2 very soon unless he can make a big defense and stabilize against all odds and this scary Stalker Void Ray combination.
Mothership Core goes down. That's the only form of consistent fire against those Void Rays. The Void Rays reign supreme here. They have nothing to worry
He's
about.
done it!
GG!
GG!
MacSed